Ryan Sterling, Director of South Carolina Department of Corrections. And I'm going to look kind of right at Jason's shoulder there. Does that work for everybody? Sorry, got it.
My name is John Conrad. I'm with the Attorney General's office.
My name is Shane Aceto, also at the Attorney General's office.
I'm Emily Cockrell. I'm with SCDC Criminal Prosecution.
Barney Gazay. I'm with Third Circuit, Special Prosecutor, Third Circuit, also work with the Department of Corrections.
Margaret Scott, I'm with SCDC Criminal Prosecution, also Special Assistant Attorney General with the AG's office.
Stephen Lunsford, I'm the Division Director for the Criminal Prosecution Division for SCDC, as well as a Special Assistant Attorney General.
I'll go ahead. I want to take a moment to thank SLED, Chief Keel specifically. He was there with me the night that this happened, and they've been a great partner since then in this investigation, working with our investigators. I want to thank Alan Wilson and the Attorney General's office for the resources that they've given us in this case. I want to thank I call them special prosecutors. That seems to be the word of the year with what's going on in D.C. In this case, and I'm happy to answer any questions y'all have.
Obviously, you were director when this happened 5 years ago. What is it like to get to this point in the justice process, finally?
I think it's good for the folks that were harmed in this case. And I think it's the start of the finality. Obviously, we have more to go, and we'll keep on working through the process with this team behind me.
For, I think the first inmate who came in, he's going to be pretty much there for life, 999 years. Even for a case like that, and I'm sure probably some of the folks coming later, why is it still important to get these guilty pleas, even though they're already going to be locked up for life?
I think it's important for the victims in this case, for the people that are left behind, to see that justice has been served for their loved ones. Who, even though they are incarcerated, they do deserve justice. Is that it?
What comes next from the legal standpoint with the timeline here? It sounds like there might be a trial in August, but that could change.
Right. Well, it depends. Yeah. What we're doing right now is we have several other guilty pleas that we have that we just couldn't get to today because of lawyers' conflicts, whatever. We're going to take those at some point prior to August 14th. That's the term of court that we have, and at that point, we've got a docket pretty much of, as I said on the record, F1, which is just one of the 3 dorms, that we're going to try and get through, and very possibly be a trial. We'll see.
For the inmates who are charged with murder, are you expecting those to go to trial?
Well, I don't want to speculate. It just depends. I mean, depends on what kind of situation they're in, what kind of situation the state's in. And it's something that we all get together and decide as to who to go on, who's going to go first, who's going to go second, and what to offer them, if we can offer them anything as a plea.
How many people are charged in connection with this right now?
47. Today we did 4. We've done 1 before. They just kind of sprang up on us at a hearing. And 1 has died. So I guess I can't do the math, but we still have 40-something left.
Yeah.
But again, it's great to start. It's great to get this thing rolling for the victims, and for everybody, Department of Corrections, everybody. And I really think it'll go pretty quickly now.
And then the current plan is to do it by housing unit involved. Is that right?
Our original plan was to do F1 first, and then 3 and 5, because that had the most defendants in it. 3 and 5, there are fewer defendants, and I might, we're thinking of doing 3 and 5 together once we finish 1. It just depends. It depends on a lot of things, but I think our original theory was F1 and then 3 and 5 together.
When you said hope to have this done quickly now that the ball's rolling here, do you mean like by the end of the year? Are you anticipating this is all done?
Well, I'm 67. I'd love to get it over with by the end of the year. But I'd never predict something like that. It just depends. We just want to make sure that justice is done. And sometimes that takes 3 months and 10 months. Sometimes it takes almost 5 or 10 years. But that's what we're aiming for. And we're not going to rush it, but we're going to do it.
And as far as the process, I mean, this happened 5 years ago. How much work has kind of gone into this? I know this is a different kind of situation that we're all used to seeing as far as crimes go. This is something that happened in a prison. How has the process kind of been?
It's been an incredible amount of work. You know, fortunately, you know, the Department of Corrections has been really supportive of people there. You know, I need my prosecutors with me, with us. We've done a lot of work on it, and there's a lot more work to do. But it's the amount of, the amount of evidence in the case is just, I've done it 42 years, and it's one of the more complicated cases I've dealt with.
And that's why you see these folks standing behind me. We knew that this circuit, it's a small circuit, didn't have the resources to handle this, so we talked to the Attorney General's office, and for the folks that don't know, haven't been around for a while, we have a former longtime solicitor, a former judge and prosecutor who spent their careers in the courtrooms, and that's why we brought these folks in, along with professional lifelong prosecutors from the AG's office, working alongside folks at SCDC.
When you said the 40, is it 47?
We started with 48. One died. I was killed in a shootout in Little Beach.
Turtle Beach.
Yeah. And then we've done 5, so we're down to 42. We've got some more that I said are going to plead probably before August 14th. So I mean, it's going to be a process. 5 this day, 5 this day, 5 this day. I mean, it's a process, and we'll let you know whenever we're doing the next set.
And I know it's been a process on the end of, you know, the legal end, but also Director Sterling, for security in the prison. I know a lot of measures were taken to make sure, you know, something like this doesn't happen again. Can you speak to kind of the security measures that are in place and how things have been going since this occurred?
Sure, and one of the things I want to say, the question was asked, why is this important? This is important so folks know that they're going to be held accountable for their actions regardless of where they are in the system. If they have almost 1,000 years, they're going to still be held accountable for their actions. Security, we've done when we've worked with the legislature, Governor McMaster has been very supportive of this. We have scanners, I'm sure we all see when you come into the prisons, just like going into an airport. We have cell sense poles around the prisons for finding cell phones on inmates. We've got lights outside the perimeter. We've got cameras. We have a 24-hour surveillance system that's in Columbia that we surveil all the institutions. We've added war cameras. We have drone detection technology. We have a managed access system now that works for detecting cell phones. We're actually testing something I've been working, as y'all have covered, with the FCC. We're at almost the end of that process where hopefully we'll be able to identify and get these phones shut off. Stay tuned for that. That's coming hopefully soon. We're the first in the country to be able to do that. We fixed the doors at F5. Those are, you know, the locking mechanisms now work. We're getting more money. I believe when this started, we were around 35,000 with pay around 2018. Now we're almost 52,000. We have about 300 more officers this time this year than we did last year. There's 300 more going into the academy, so there's more staff. We're paying more overtime. It's been a Herculean effort by a lot of people to make sure that Lee and all our prisons are safer. We moved the rec yards. The rec yards, for some reason, we designed and they were on the back where we didn't have visibility. We've moved the rec yards where the inmate population goes out and recs on the front. Now it's inside where we can see it, and there's more eyes on those folks. So we can get you more, but that's just top of my head what we're doing.
Is it 3 still facing murder charges?
Yeah, there's several.
Okay. For any of them, and I would imagine it probably will depend on if they go to trial. Will it be?
Yeah, and understand this, that murder and mob first is 30 to life, either one. So, you know, either one of those would be great, to be honest with you. And when the director had mentioned cell phone, and I mentioned it on the record so I could talk about it, that really played a huge part in this. You know, and I say it played a huge part, it kept it from being isolated. Instead of it just staying in 3, it went from 3 to 5 to 1, and it's all because of cell phones. So I commend him for trying to stop the cell phone traffic.
So for the murder charges, are you able to seek the death penalty for any of those? That's not an option.
You know, we looked at it, to be honest with you, but none of them, I don't think any of them fit the criteria.
And do you, either of you know on the top of your head, the 40 some still remaining, how many are still in corrections custody and how many are
We can
not?
get you that information.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's several that are out, were released. I did their time and were released. But I'm not, I don't have the number.
Fine.
Thank y'all for covering this.
Do you want
Thank you.
to tell them about the difference in custody level at Lee?
That's true. We did, we changed our classification system, so when inmates come in, they're classified on many things. Their crime, health, mental health, prior history, and things of that nature, and there's a system, so we've changed that. So when this event occurred, there were about 1,500 inmates at Lee Correctional. It's one of our largest, it's our largest prison. It's 2 yards east and west. We've changed the criteria for Lee. There's only about 300, we're calling it close custody, but it's max. There's about 600 medium custody inmates, and they're on the other yard now. So the numbers are way down at Lee. It's more manageable. The max folks are single celled, so it's safer for staff and safer for everybody. And that's not just at Lee, but that's across the state. We do have in F7, and y'all have covered this, where we've taken gang members from around the state and put them in a dorm from different gangs, and they're working out their differences, and we're teaching them, and we see it in the paper all the time and in the TV all the time, where we have violence on the street because someone disrespected someone else or something like that happened, and you end up having a murder, and a whole family's life is destroyed. Now we're teaching them to work it out orally and talk about it as opposed to with violence, and so far it's working great, and it's the first program in the country, and we're talking about it nationally as a model to help reduce the violence, not only in prison, but these guys really want to reduce the violence outside also. Thank y'all very much, appreciate it.
Thank you.